Hey guys, Stream Phoenix coming at you. I am incredibly under the weather. So today's video is going to be mostly me not speaking. This will be the first half of the exploration of Jung's collective unconscious and the Buddhist Yogachara, both of which Nojima-san mentioned he studied, and these flows of idea greatly help explain and give emotion to what is going on in the world of the remake Rebirth anthology, including what's yet to come. This week will be other people's thoughts and opinions to whet the appetite, get the imagination going. Next weekend, I will be bringing it together in more specific reference to the world of Gaia. Imagination adventurers, until next weekend, when hopefully I can talk, I bid thee adieu.
One of Carl Jung's most well-known and controversial concept is the collective unconscious, the aspect of the unconscious mind which manifests inherited, universal themes which run through all human life. The collective unconscious does not owe its existence to personal experience, and consequently is not a personal acquisition, while the personal unconscious is made up essentially of contents which have at one time been conscious, but which have disappeared from consciousness through having been forgotten or repressed. The contents of the collective unconscious have never been in consciousness, and therefore have never been individually acquired, but owe their existence exclusively to heredity. Just as we have evolved biologically, we have also undergone a psychic evolution.
So you may walk away from this talk with more questions than answers. I think this is going to get very juicy. So get ready. So Chitta Matra, mind only. The Yogachara is sometimes referred to as, sometimes it's synonymous. The Yogachara, the whole strand of thought, is referred to as mind only. So many Yogachara texts are peppered with phrases such as the following. And this is from the Lankavatara Sutra. So it says, "The world is nothing but mind. Nothing is seen outside the mind. The entire world is mind itself. All is mind." So the Yogacharans, they held that what is real is mind or consciousness, and that this so-called material world we see around us is actually brought into existence by mind, and not the other way around. So we're so used to thinking in this other way around, aren't we? We probably even consider it common sense that matter, or at least, the outside stuff is what is real, and that's what gives rise to consciousness, to mind. So, like the world of the Matrix, for example, because people are there together. It's a shared reality, even though it's all, as it were, a dream. It's not the real world. They affect each other. What they do has consequences on each other's happiness and suffering and well-being. Because if we take this dream analogy literally, then and we decide that other people, the natural world, everything out there is all just sort of in our mind or created by our mind. That's a very kind of subjective, quite narrow perspective, isn't it, in a way? If we think all these other people, you don't exist, you're all just my mind, you're all in mind, kind of thing. That would have disastrous consequences for ourselves and for others. And this virtual reality model as well, it has its limitations. When Neo asks Morpheus, so these are the two characters in the Matrix, Neo asks Morpheus whether a chair within the Matrix is real. Morpheus responds, "What is real?" I was going to try to do a Morpheus one. What is real? Maybe I could just say no. What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. Buddhism has a lot to say about mind. So mind is a translation of chitta, as I said, chitta. And chitta is better translated, you might say, as heart-mind. So for Buddhism, mind is not just like what's in our head, the kind of alienated thinking that's separate from the body and abstract. Mind is much more, and that includes our whole being, our heart, our head, and our guts, metaphorically. So it's not just about our thoughts, it's not just all in our head. So the Buddhist vision of mind is actually vast and includes all of ourselves, and it can't be separated from the body. It's not this thing that's sort of like body and mind are separate. And it's not just what we're conscious of, it includes our unconscious depths, whatever they are. What does that even mean? But these unconscious depths that we talk about that kind of constitute the much greater part of our being. Mind includes that as well. Also, Buddhism would say mind, it doesn't actually belong to us. It's not a personal thing. We don't own it. We don't control it. It's not even our mind. It has no discernible shape. If you try and find a boundary, you probably won't find one. But perhaps especially important, the Buddhist vision of mind is that it's alive. It's alive. And it's in its deepest essence and nature is completely open, free, spontaneous, unlimited, clear, and naturally responsive to all of life. With this kind of natural empathy, this kind of natural response to beauty and to life, love and compassion. So the deepest nature of mind is wisdom and compassion. So when the Yogachara says that everything is mind, all is mind, it includes all this, yeah? So it's pointing towards a vision of life that's much, much more than just saying it's all a dream, or it's all a virtual reality, or it's all just in our heads. Like love, expansion, unlimited freedom, spontaneity, aliveness, all that is all part of this, all is mind.
But how can desire, hatred, and ignorance reappear after they have been extinguished? And how can one stream of consciousness re-emerge in the first place once it has stopped? Or if we take dreaming as a Jungian example, how and where does our consciousness return from when we awake? For both Jung and the Yogachara Buddhists, these kinds of questions pointed in the same direction. Consciousness alone is not sufficient to account for human experience. There must be some additional region of the mind which remains active even when consciousness dissolves. This background region must be what connects and keeps track of all our momentary experiences. The Buddhists called this background of the mind the Alaya-vijnana, meaning storehouse consciousness. Jung called it the unconscious. He described it like this: everything of which I know, but of which I am not at the moment thinking. Everything perceived by my senses, but not noted by my conscious mind. Everything which, involuntarily and without paying attention to it, I feel, think, remember, want to do. All the future things that are taking shape in me and will sometime come to consciousness. All this is the content of the unconscious. Jung asked, if consciousness dreams and sinks into the unconscious, could the unconscious also dream and sink into an even deeper unconscious? It was this strange question that led Jung to his greatest discovery, the collective unconscious. Remember how Jung and the Buddhists discovered the unconscious. They observed that consciousness itself is too limited to account for all its contents. The conclusion was that these contents must be coming from somewhere else, some deeper and hidden region of the mind. Well, Jung continued this same reasoning. He observed his patients' dreams mostly referred to their personal experiences, like our example with the bully. That's to be expected. But to Jung's amazement, sometimes his patients dreamt of things that had nothing to do with their personal lives. Sometimes their dreams contained obscure elements from world culture and literature. Ancient gods, alchemical images, Mesopotamian myths. How could people dream of things they had no knowledge of? The more dreams he analyzed, the more convinced Jung became. There must be an even deeper region of the mind under one's personal unconscious. This region somehow contains all that has ever been experienced by the human mind, and it is common to all people. Jung called this the collective unconscious, a great storehouse of psychic content that is the birthplace of all our individual psyches. Because we're connected in such a way, everything an individual can experience can be experienced also collectively.
Actually, if you really think about it, it's not that absurd. So if we put down our kind of so-called common sense ideas just for a moment, these kind of deeply held assumptions, if you think about it, like all we can ever experience directly is consciousness. How could it be otherwise? How could it be otherwise? How could there be anything? We've come up with this idea of matter, decided that it's all, all these external things are made of matter, and then said, well then, And we're part of that, so it must have created us. You know, this matter thing must have created our consciousness. Even though consciousness is what's been conceiving of it from the very beginning.
Behold the true nature of reality.
This is the construct. It's our loading program. We can load anything from clothing to equipment, weapons, training simulations, anything we need.
Right now, we're inside a computer program.
Is it really so hard to believe? Your clothes are different, the plugs in your arms and head are gone. Your hair has changed. Your appearance now is what we call residual self-image. It is the mental projection of your digital self.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
So thank you, Cloud, for everything.
What is this?